resetting that number in real time with real cost every year. The adequacy target resets every year, so it's fresh, it's real time, it's not stagnating. And the local capacity target literally adjusts every year based on what you're able to do. If your EAB grows because of extraordinary EAB growth from some reason, then you can give more locally. And that would be how this works together. So here we go. These come together. I must be contracting that. I guess not. Anyway, there you go. The four of those circles come together, and they form the mechanics of the evidence-based model. These are some of the key features. 27 research-based elements, annual recalibration, recognizes student demographics and differences, accommodates the employer pension cost shift. We're going to get to that in a little bit. It's a big deal. No district loses money. Regionalization cost. We'll talk about the differential across Illinois. 99% of new dollars goes to the poorest kids. Provides a minimum funding level for future years, so we take out the backdoor escape of money, and the district-wide hold harmless. So in Illinois, the mandatory veto touches nearly on every component of the evidence-based model. If you listened to the rhetoric that was distributed through the editorial boards, the TV stations, and the radio stations by our governor between his time of receiving the bill and the bill passing, because there was a lot of time in there. If you listened to that, you would have thought that the only problem was that the bill picked up the pension payment for Chicago. That's what I heard. That's what everybody heard. Well, when the bill finally got to his desk on July 31st, he took action the next morning. He made 102 changes to the bill. That is called destroying a bill. He eviscerated the evidence-based model. He took out literally every hardwired preventative fix that we put in the bill based on over 300 years of collective experience managing schools' finances. Everybody had seen every trick. Everybody's seen every trick Illinois pulled. And we wired around those to prevent that from happening again to schools. Every one of those was ripped out of the bill with the veto. So you can imagine our position on the veto. And if you haven't figured it out, I'll let you know a little later. Okay. This here kind of shows sort of how the system works. So your light blue color is the local capacity target. That's how much you can contribute locally. The darker blue is the base funding minimum. That's that core amount of money that you get from the state of Illinois on an annual basis that you've been receiving. The yellow is the gap between what you need per kid and what you have per kid. And then the red striped line would be the new distribution that starts to flow, recognizing that this doesn't get fixed in 1 year. We didn't get here in 1 year. We don't have enough resources as a state to fix this in a year. It's probably going to take more like 8 or 10. But we have to start somewhere. The red striped line represents a distribution for districts as they start to fill the gap between what they need and what they have. And if you look across that, the comparative analysis here is that the more you have locally and the more that your gap is small, like in District 1, you really get a smaller distribution. If you go to the far side, you see a limited amount locally, you see a decent amount from the state, but you see a very wide gap between what you have and what you need. And you notice that they get more of the distribution as well as we start to fill the gap. And we start to bring everyone up toward their adequacy target. The impact of the governor's veto. If you remember no slide tonight, remember this slide. This slide shows that 80% of the districts in Illinois are spending below their adequacy target. In other words, they're spending below what they actually are calculated to need on a per student basis. Okay? Now, dark orange up through the light orange represents all of those districts that are spending below adequacy. If you're kind of opaque or white, you're right at the adequacy point. If you're a light blue or a dark blue, you are beyond adequacy. 80% of the districts are spending below adequacy. That's growing every year because of the inappropriate formula that we have that continues to send money to the wrong schools. Okay? If you're a school board member, do we have any school board members here tonight? You're going to like this example. Proration. Does that mean anything to you? You don't know school board long enough to know about proration? Okay. If you're a school district that receives $4,000 from the state on a per student basis in general state aid, and we prorate state aid at 10%, how much money do you lose on a per pupil basis in your district? $400. If you're a high income district, you're a high wealth, high EAV district, you're what's known in Illinois as a flat grant district. It basically says, you really don't need any state money at all, but hey, we're going to give you something. So we send them $218 per student. We prorate them at 10%. How much do they lose per pupil off of $218? Come on, math people. $21.80. So when you throw it out that, hey, we're just going to prorate everyone 10%, sounds fair, except when you do the math. And one school district's losing $400 per child, one school district that doesn't even meet the 218 is losing $21.80 per child. Now imagine what happens in that educational environment to those kids. This school district, this child never feels it. This one loses math, advanced math, they lose band, they lose vocational, they get the threat of sports being dropped, and they probably have to walk uphill to school both ways. Right? Bad things happen to kids that lose that kind of money. We've been seeing that for 8 years. That's the prorated generation of kids in Illinois. This math is why we're trying to change the formula. If you remember nothing, remember this math. This is the driver behind the whole idea to fix this formula, send that new money to those dark orange, medium orange, and light orange counties, and get those kids up out of poverty and give them a chance to compete with kids that are in the opaque colored and the blue colored districts. So, school funding components, the adequacy calculation. In SB1, this cost, the adequacy target is adjusted every year. It's refreshed. This is real-time results. This is important. It says, hey, costs gradually go up. We have to recognize that and not ignore it as a reality. In the governor's AB, costs are frozen in time. It's simply nothing more than a brand new frame to hang a new number that will stagnate us into the next dozen years. That's all it is. Took all of the preventative pieces out to adjust costs over time. Second piece, protects districts for the pension cost shift. That's what SB1 does. And the governor's mandatory veto took all the protections for the districts out of the bill. Why is this a big deal? We're going to get to that. I'll promise you we'll come back to that. Adequacy calculation adjusts for a regional wage index. Here's what that is. You're thinking, what in the world is a regional wage index? Here's what it is. In Illinois, it's not uncommon to know that it costs more to live in certain parts of our state than it does others, right? It costs more to live in the suburbs, certainly in Chicago, than it does in out parts of Illinois. So when we started running the formula, we said, hey, we ought to recognize that there's something there, that it's not just $1. $1 is not spent the same in, say, downstate as it is in DuPage County. So we went to the national studies, and there's a national study done by Texas A&M University. They studied every county across the nation and every state. Every number was produced through their research basis, peer reviewed, vetted through the process. It's now widely accepted as the way to look at your costs of wage indexes. What it is this. It's a measure of the college-educated workforce in every county. Not teachers, but the measure of the college-educated workforce in every county. That drives then what your comparable wage index is on a regional basis in every county across Illinois. In Illinois, we had a range from 0.75 on the low end to 1.12 on the high end. So that's a big spread. 37 basis points is the spread. And we thought, boy, that's really going to start applying to all those districts that were back here. Remember those orange districts? Those poorest districts? A lot of them are in the 0.75, 0.78, 0.8, 0.83, 0.85. And so what we did is we simply said, hey, since we know that's how this math works in Illinois, we're going to compress that range. Because those districts that were on the high end, the 1.12s were in the collar counties, Cook County, they were many of the districts that were either at adequacy or above. Okay? They weren't in the poorest 80% of the districts. So So we compressed the range from 0.75 and 1.12, we compressed it to 0.9 on the bottom and 1.06 on the top. So for all of those poorest counties, we gave them a 15% bump right out of the gate. On the top end, we took about 6% away because they already had plenty of money to spend on their kids.